Oh, hi there. I wanted to make another video tonight. I realize for some people, 4:40 a.m. in the morning is a bit of an awkward time to make a video about anything. But take things into consideration with my particular situation. It's actually not unusual. Believe me, if I could fix my sleeping pattern on my own, I would have. Anyway, I gotta talk about a serious, well, somewhat serious subject. And, you know, I've made videos about being an involuntary celibate. I just made a meme, a Bender meme on my Facebook explaining voluntary celibacy, which, back in the day, I guess that's what I was because I was just focused on other things, mostly Thanos and his belief that there needs to be balance in the universe. Although, admittedly, so in high school, I never even heard of Thanos, to be completely honest. Anyway, this video is more to talk about women because there's a great misconception on what an involuntary celibate is. The direct definition of it is, when you pronounce it that way, is involuntary, they don't have a choice, and celibate or celibacy, which means there's no physical contact. Two simple terms to understand, but a lot of involuntary celibates unfortunately fall into the trap of being called incels. Now, if you ask the Google what an incel is, it'll say involuntary celibate. But obviously, you watch YouTube videos and things like that, particularly by CBC and things like that, it starts to paint a very different picture of them. And I did watch a video where the guy was explaining, look, that is a small minority of angry men who can't go with women. Uh, Sometimes they deserve it, sometimes they are very ugly. Sometimes it's other social factors. I'm not going to talk for them because it doesn't have nothing to do with me. For me, what it is I'm just too damn good looking. I've got too much going for me, and there are multiple women, and they don't respect my decision-making process because they go, well, he's lived on his own, kind of like some sort of goblin out in the caves or some shit. I don't know what they think, but this is just what I would assume. Anyway, there happens to be some chicks that I do like. However, because I believe I'm in a negative cult of personality, I'm afraid that there are social political factors that cause them to not behave the way they would prefer to around me. I mean, if I were completely wrong, they could say so, and I'd be like, okay, I understand. I'll go about, pursuing romance somewhere else. Uh, that's just the way it would be if I honestly thought that was what the situation is. As it were, I don't believe that because, I'm a man of my early 30s and, I did pick up some sort of information about the fairer sex in my day-to-day life throughout the course of these years, even though I didn't have very much sexual contact, a few kisses and cuddles, and that was basically it. But that, that's just how it was. Um, but unfortunately, when it comes to situations like this, it means that whether the woman in interest or not that I see too many too often anyway, but unfortunately they premeditate. They think about things way in advance and scenarios that I'm not cognizant of because simple reasons like I don't watch soap operas. You know, I'm a man who hasn't had female action in a long time. I don't feel like watching romantic comedies when there ain't a chick around. Like, I don't think that's too hard to understand, especially since they're not very funny. The few I've seen, just to be completely honest, they're not. I prefer to watch, kind of things that a dude would watch. And it's not that I couldn't, establish a baseline going, well, this is a woman-orientated soap opera, whatever, and this is how it goes, and I couldn't learn from that. It's just more to do with the fact that there isn't a woman around, and quite often, especially in today's society, with the changing of the tide of what social relationships and things like that with women as far as men go have altered. It feels unapplicable to me, especially as it a lot of the times it has an underlying negative tone. Uh, like I watched, what was that stupid movie called? It had Cameron Diaz in it. Oh, The Other Woman, that's right. I may have mentioned this before. Again, I don't review my videos from the past, so, obviously a lot happens in my mind in a week's time, so I don't exactly remember if I said something before or not. Anyway, basically, these three women collaborate and they screw over this guy. Now, this guy was a piece of trash, and I don't give a damn about him. He was a dirtbag, and I don't give a damn about him. But the things the women were doing were quite bitchy. I only mention this because this is, mainstream kind of feminist comedy of how the woman gets back at the man, and it's all about sisterhood and how they're able to do it and things like that. And a lot of it were underhanded tactics. I mean, the dude in the movie was all about underhanded tactics, so, obviously that's why I don't feel guilty for what happened to him, or I don't feel anything for him. He's a piece of trash, just like I said. But there are other things to talk about. Uh, I just mentioned that as an example. As an involuntary celibate, um, despite what people say, depending on certain circumstances, that actually increases your value at being able to score women. A lot of involuntary celibates, they think less of themselves. They go, oh, I've got acne, or I'm a little fat, or I'm a little stupid, or, whatever. And they look down upon themselves. And I go, no, 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 no. That's not always the case. Society today um, is very anti-male, has been for as long as I remember. And I'm 31 years old. It's just there's always been an understream narrative of the white male has been responsible for all these problems, blah 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 blah. We're way better off. It doesn't matter if the white man gets screwed over because of how many people get screwed over in other parts of the world, blah 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 blah. And it's all a bunch of shit. All a bunch of fucking shit. And unfortunately, that there are involuntary celibates that did nothing wrong with them at all. Like, because you will see the absolute sleaziest looking slime ball walking down the street. He may have been cognizant of involuntary celibacy and things like that, and did social economic things to avoid such situation. But that's no less makes him a slimy sleazeball, and he's still able to pick up chicks. And you go, well, what the fuck, man? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it shouldn't make any sense, but it does because, the rules they tell you on the television and on the internet and things like that don't always apply to everybody. They should do, but they don't because people are cunts. That's the truth of the matter. If you're in the right position, able to do things, maybe you got some money and things like that, You can be a hideous fucking gargoyle like Harvey Weinstein, and you can still score chicks. It just, mathematically, it doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's what happens. Um, so what I'm getting at is I want to, you know, obviously involuntary celibacy is also called incel. I don't know entirely what incel means. There's a lot of connotations to it that most certainly don't apply to me, and I don't think they apply to most involuntary celibates. I think it's just, the changing of the tide and various social factors, as I had mentioned in other videos talking about incel, like how white men are at the bottom of the totem pole. That's one. Um, Other white men support this because it's less competition for them. It's easier for them to get with the women they want, and they get the cheap laugh of going, well, he gets nothing and I get the fucking chick. And it's not necessarily because they dislike them in the sense of really disliking them. They just go, they were competition for me scoring a chick, therefore, I'm going to be all hail and brimstone on them. And at the end of the day, for a lot of the times, it's for petty reasons. It's like, all right, fine, go with the chick. I mean, it's happened to me once or twice before, and to be totally honest with you, um, the critical times I've seen it where, obviously I had been, uh, you know, like asking a chick if she was interested, and another dude was doing it. Um, I had lost. I can accept that. But the thing is, I look at them now, compare to me, my value as a person, my potential, and my resources, and I go, "Ooh, I'm sorry. I guess you made the wrong decision there, didn't you? Bet on the wrong horse, didn't you?" Well, I'm a little bit empathetic, but also, fuck off. Sorry, gotta say what it is. That's just the truth. Okay, so there's that. And also, there are the different ethnicities that aren't white, because particularly when incel or involuntary celibacy is mentioned, it's directed towards white men. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of involuntary celibacy type people, and guess what? A lot of them aren't white. Some of them are greasy Asians, some of them are big fat pig East Indians, and there are all sorts of types, but in the media, that's not what they say. They say the violent type, they say the horrible type, the worst type, the incels, or white people. And, that just isn't true. It just isn't true. I mean, in the media, they portray it as being true because they'll take the Florida massacre or some, the Colorado and that stupid fucker with the dyed hair, and they'll use them examples. But guess what? In the fucking ghettos in fucking the States, there are fuckers who fucking lose their shit and fucking go on, I don't know, some methadone fucking spree and are far worse. But because, that's not going with the mainstream narrative, it kind of remains local news and people have a tendency to forget it. Because national news is all about demonizing the white man, especially if he's got any connotations to being proud to being white and isn't embracing multiculturalism, diversity, LGBTQ, FCS, XYZ, all that kind of shit. Basically fucking a pushover. They want to demonize them. They're the problem because that's just the way the media goes. Because you got business types that are bitter old women, Devil and Prada type stuff, whom they just want to put the white man down because I guess maybe they had a hard life growing up in the industry or whatever. They had to deal with a lot of people that they didn't like, and they look at it as, well, they had to deal with it when they were young. Uh, in theory, the white man, as young persons, have to overcome the same challenges they did to earn the same respect. Well, I'm just here to say, fuck you on that point. Get the fuck out of here. You're fucking detrimental to society, and you're the fucking problem. Among other types of people that are the fucking problem. And like, it's just a crock of shit. And there is so many people who are plain as fucking day ignorant on the subject because it doesn't directly apply to them. But the thing is, it may not do today, but there's no reason to say it won't do next week for, whatever their circumstances and their combinations of reasons are. Like, say some dude's making 35 bucks an hour and he's got a chick. Don't tell me this ain't a story you fuckers ain't heard before. But he's making 35 bucks an hour. Fucking his company's got to downsize. They got to get rid of some people. And he gets sacked. Guess what? 2 weeks later, his girlfriend leaves because she was there because he made money. Don't tell me that shit doesn't happen. And then what if she goes, well, I liked him as a person, so I don't want him to go with anyone else. And I got venom against, white people just because the media tells me to, because every chance you get, every problem is blamed on the white man. You look at television, the internet, everything. It's fucking all geared towards white men being the fucking problem. And they exaggerate shit too. And it can be, just area to area. But here I live in Vancouver, right? And my social media is all about black people problems. And I go, hey, I live in Vancouver, man. There's some blacks here. No reason I couldn't be friends with them under the right circumstances. But guess what? There aren't a lot of black people here. That's just a fact. We do have an overwhelming amount of Asians, though, particularly from Hong Kong. And this is a point I'd made a couple times before. A different ethnicity entering a country, such as Canada or whatever, and clinging themselves to, the culture of another peoples that live here, such as black rap music, for example. That's not multiculturalism. They think it is, but it isn't. What it really is uh, I want to be a part of something that isn't white. That's the reality. That's really what it is. And they won't look at it that way. They don't want to look at it that way. And you get too many pushover fucking white people who go, "Oh well, I'm sorry for everything the white people have done." And you may go, "Well, who does that?" Oh, I don't know. Maybe our fucking prime minister? The fuck, man? Why the fuck should I have to apologize for any of the shit that went on? And besides, anything bad that the white man did back in the day, hundreds of years ago and shit like that, not only does it have nothing to do with me, but two, you people were no fucking better. Don't tell me fucking East Indians were fucking civilized people a couple hundred years ago, because they weren't. That's a crock of shit. And I don't care what anyone has to say. Fucking debunk me. Fucking prove me wrong. Prove me that they're fucking statues where the fucking benevolent fucking leader has a good friendly smile on his face and he brought upon prosperity to his people. Fucking prove it. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. You know what I had to fucking read not too long ago? I had to read that Stonehenge was actually falling apart, and in the early 1900s, around about World War One, they had to use modern equipment to rebuild it. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say I believe that shit, but it is possible. I mean, it's made of stone. It's in the ground. Things shit happens. But they were implying that the monuments that were built in Asia were not tampered with or any of that shit. And I'm going, yeah, fucking right. Those fuckers would fucking tamper around fix as quickly and quietly as possible any of their monuments so that they can perpetuate their image of being a civilized culture for X amount of time. There's a lot of monuments in Asia, and guess what? They're surrounded by slums and dirty fucking villages. What does that fucking say, man? I'll tell you what it fucking says. It says they'll fucking put their limited resources that they have into repairing a monument that's supposed to show the prosperity of their nation at the expense of their people during this time. Excuse me, but Western culture doesn't do that. We have the money to, hypothetically, supposing Stonehenge wasn't in such a great shape, a little upkeep, it's not too much to ask. It ain't a problem for us and keep our economy working fine. We don't have to go, oh, we gotta fucking spend fucking most of our GDP on this project just to make ourselves look good. Fuck the people. That's not the story we want to tell. So, you get your idiot fucking travelers coming along and going, ooh, look at that fucking statue of, Buddha. He was a well-respected character. Ooh la 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 la. And they walk away because they're complete fucking idiots. And also, like, look, I have differing opinions. I'm not going to say there aren't stupid as fuck white people. I'm just not going to say that because it isn't true. But I'm also going to not say that there aren't stupid as fuck Asian people or black people or South Americans or any of that shit. And why should I? I'm in fucking Canada here, man. And a white area, I might add. And, I'm just not going to tolerate that shit. And if you think I'm not going to tolerate that shit, there are guys who are smarter than me, more connections than me, live a more comfortable lifestyle, have more money than me, who are also going to share the same sentiment. They're not going to want to hear some gook coming around telling them, oh, Stonehenge isn't as impressive as our fucking stone monuments that they did nothing to build. They just, cheaply fixed them. I did read an article about that, of how, it's like noticeable that they fucking chinsed out on fucking repairing them properly, part of upkeep and all that shit. And they got caught out on their lie, but it's not spread around in mainstream media because in this current day and age, as I said, it's all against the white man, putting us at the bottom of the fucking totem pole. And why should I have to put up with this shit? Why should I? And, Justin Trudeau, the types like him, those slimy fucking bureaucrats, they're all about, I will shit on anybody so long as it isn't me who has to deal with it. And, him as a white guy means nothing to me. If, he's going to shit on everyone, which is what he's doing. I already made a video saying, look, those tariffs he's put on American goods like toilet paper, orange juice, blah, 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 that all fits in with the fucking narrative that we've been hearing for the last 15, 20 years anyway, which is food prices are going up. It's just convenient that Trudeau has somebody to blame for that. And, Trump putting taxes on aluminum and shit like that. Like, we don't know who was in charge of the aluminum. Like, what if he was a total fucking cunt? What if? And, at any rate, okay, suppose we had a vote and we said we're not paying those tariffs and we won against the American government and said we're not paying tariffs on aluminum or steel or anything like that. What good would it do us? Are they gonna fucking send us a box of fucking paper clips? They're gonna do anything for us? No, that fucking cocksucker CEO or whoever the fuck he is at the aluminum factory or the steel factory ain't gonna do shit for us. That's the matter of the fact. And the other fact is Trudeau's imposing taxes on our everyday goods that we're getting from the States because we can't fucking grow oranges up here because we just don't have the fucking weather. And that's directly impacting us. You want to go buy orange juice, it's 10% more. Uh, you're not doing us any fucking favors, Justin Trudeau. You're doing big business favors. And big business doesn't do the common day every man any favors. So essentially, you've found an excuse. Who knows? Maybe you're even in collaboration. I mean, you do most of your conversation behind closed fucking doors anyway. You fucking sack of shit. And don't think because you put a smile on your face, you have a pleasant demeanor and all this shit, that you ain't a cocksucker under all of it. You may fool the average day every idiot, but guess what? They get half an hour to talk with me, I'll fucking explain to them why the fuck they're wrong. What's the matter with you fucking people? Okay, there's that, but obviously, I was talking about involuntary celibacy before that, and the problems that can occur for otherwise, average white males. Because as the media portrays it, I just watched a CBC program on it, where I forget what that bitch's name is. I think her name's Diana Swain or something like that. It's on my YouTube watch list. Like, like I watched half of it, and it's about 40 minutes long, and it's fucking irritating as hell. Because, like, she just sounded like such a bitch. And she was talking to some UBC professor who was also a woman, and also sounded like a total bitch. And from their perspective, it looked like, well, throughout the history of mankind, man has genuinely been an abuser. So now that we live in a more advanced society, we can um, operate such political engineering and also just biological testing on unwitting participants. And what I mean by that is that a lot of involuntary celibates are only that because of social circumstances. And how that can happen, there are many factors, and it differs from one person to another. Sometimes they're a cunt and they deserve it. Sometimes they're whatever. Sometimes they're just too damn good looking, like myself, like I said. But you know, it seems as though there's no negotiating with these people. They don't fucking want to hear it. They don't want to explain nothing to you. They want to treat you like you're stupid, and it's because they're observing you for medical research. I didn't have to make a YouTube video. I didn't have to make a YouTube channel. Didn't have to have social media. But I felt compelled to because I felt the nature around me was shifting in a bullshit direction. And I remember back in the day, the types of guys who were popular, who got chicks, and I look back at them and I go, you're a piece of fucking trash. Why the fuck are you scoring chicks? And it's just because, to be honest with you, all it takes is some sack of shit saying something negative about someone, and it's like the sheep effect. Everyone becomes a sheep, and they just go along with that narrative because they're stupid. They're stupid as fuck. And, I deal with people who are over 30 who should be smarter about that kind of shit, and they're not. And, you know, sometimes people, in particular men, when they see competition for a chick against another male, will say things, and it may not necessarily be what they believe in, but it caters to what they want to believe because it's just beneficial to them for other reasons, in particular, scoring the fucking chick. Unfortunately, sometimes this shit just builds up, and then it becomes the point of gross absurdity. Like, I ain't know what fucking kind of names have been hurled my way. None of them were deserved because, not many people know me other than my social media, which I have no problem defending, or definitely from person to person communication. But I am telling you that there are sleazy slime balls that have said shitty things about me, and they did so for biased reasons. Not because they believed what they were saying necessarily, or maybe they wanted to believe it at the time, and that's some sort of neurological disorder that they had. Um, it's just, it can build up, as I said, like to the point where it's just grossly absurd. Like, I'm mostly immobilized. I can't go outside just yet too much because of my sore neck. That will change. And when it does, it will be more difficult to enforce this involuntary celibacy. So, my perspective is when my neck gets better, there's gonna be some bird who's gonna come along and fly on my shoulder and tell me things to do. Pretend he's my buddy. Well, I got a heads up from, or whoever it is. I'm fucking gonna be suspicious of you since day fucking one. I ain't gonna trust you with nothing. And, oh, believe me, we're gonna have a lot of fun conversations, whether it's a man or a woman, whatever. That's not the point. And there are other things that go on, like normal social activity can happen when you've got a chick in mind, you're kind of going with them and all that, and they go and introduce you to their friend and obviously her boyfriend. That would be a normal social activity, I would think. But as a hypothetical, what if they say, well, why don't we, switch it up? Why don't you go with uh, the other dude's girlfriend and and she goes with the other dude? And you go, well, that's all good and well, but as an involuntary celibate, obviously you've been in the back burner for a long time. You don't know that that dude hasn't been messing around with both chicks for however long, because they'll just obsessively compulsively lie about it, and it becomes a big fucking joke just to the chicks because they go, well, they get a bit of fresh meat, and the dude because he goes, well, I screwed around with both chicks, and this douchebag comes into the picture and he thinks, well, he's getting a deal when he's not really. So you can enter a situation that you got to read it because it's not always the same, but you can read it and go, this woman's a slag. And it don't matter if she's physically attractive or not. Being a slag has nothing to do with physical attractiveness, although often it does, because slags are quite often ugly, but they're not always ugly. Slag just means a woman who's abusive towards men. And, as an involuntary celibate walking into the social world and actually getting, physical activity from women, there are going to be some people who are going to go, well, if you decline this woman in this situation, that means you're a homo or whatever. And that's not necessarily true. It has to depend on context. If the woman's a fucking slag, bitch, whore, whatever, no, it doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. She can take a fucking hike. And you can turn around and the chick you were with and go, look, you do that to me again, you're fucking gone too. I don't care if that wasn't your fault. If there was just social, political, crowd mentality that put you in that situation, because actually I believe I'm attractive enough that I could score a chick and it's more of a monogamous relationship. It's just me and her, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, whatever. But there are going to be other women that don't like that idea. They don't like the idea that they're not getting a slice of the pie. And, because whatever chick you go with to walk into the social circle doesn't mean that she's right in the sense of who the people she picks to bring into the social circle. Like, for example, if she brings in a chick of a different ethnicity, you really got to look into that chick. And, there's two ways of approaching this. You go, look, I just don't give a damn. I'm going to go with them because I haven't had action for so long. Okay, fair enough. But there's also, I don't feel like dignifying this bitch because I've got this overwhelming sense there's something wrong with her. Like she's been bitchy behind the scenes. She's done something. She's had shitty things to say. She'll say shittier things afterwards. And it's all a big joke to her. And I don't feel like putting up with that. Like, if a fucking chick I was going with said, "Oh, why don't you fool around with one of my friends," quote unquote, because you don't really know, and it turns out to be a woman you got a bad vibe from, there's something about her you don't trust, you go, "Well, I don't have a problem with fooling around. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I ain't gonna be with this bitch." I mean, you gotta make your point clear. Stand up and fucking tell things the way they are. And involuntary celibates quite often are loners, people who don't have much social experience, and don't know how to handle certain situations. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. Admittingly so, if there's a hot chick in front of you, sometimes your package starts working before your brain. You got to take all this shit into consideration because uh, in particular, if you're a popular uh, involuntary celibate, which I believe I am, um, it creates negativity towards crowds that may be around whom you've never even met before. You owe them nothing. They don't look at it that way though. They go, "Well, I've been peering in on this guy's YouTube channel for the entirety it's been up for, 3 years, whatever." And they feel as though they have the right to intrude on my decisions. And I'm just here to say, no, you don't. I've never seen you before. And any work you may have done will have been for a fictitious character, assuming everything you've done has been good. I couldn't get your honest opinion if it was or wasn't at any given time because you'll just obsessively compulsively lie about it. And if I get a bad vibe from you, I don't like your demeanor. Doesn't matter if she's physically attractive or not. She's going fucking bye-bye. And usually when bitches don't get their way because physically attractive women are used to getting their way, and they're used to getting their way with pathetic involuntary celibates who are just happy to get any action that they can. And the problem with that mentality is that the women immediately turns around and goes, "This guy's a whore, and he'll go with anyone." And then eventually the tides change, and women of authority come in. Well, that would be a woman of authority, but other women come in authority, and we'd like to say they're all pretty, but the fact of the matter is they're not. A lot of women of authority are not pretty at all. They're fucking butt ugly. Most people are butt ugly. It's just the fact of the matter. And if you set the precedence that you're coming into this social environment as, well, I'll just go with whatever comes my way, um, these ugly women will think that they have a foothold. And you have to stand up for yourself and go, "No, not only are you ugly, not only are you a slag, but I just don't think it's going to work because you're a fucked up, disgusting person." And it would be nicer, as I said, if it were, women in authority that were at least pretty, because then it wouldn't be so bad. But as I said, women in authority, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're very, very ugly. And you don't want to be an involuntary celibate for as many years as I have, enter the dating world, and then all of a sudden you get bombarded with fucking ugly women coming at you. And if you refuse them, they turn around, they do their typical thing, which is they go, "Oh, he's a homo, he's gay, he's running away," that kind of shit. That's the kind of shit they say. The problem is they've said that shit so often that even any man with any sort of modicum of brain power will detect that's just a jealous woman who didn't get her way. And these are all important subjects. Like it certainly is for me because look, I've looked at my past and some of the chicks I've been able to talk to and things like that. I've known they've liked me. I know there's nothing wrong with them, and things would have worked out, probably fine. but there were other social factors that kind of made them disappear because other women got jealous. And there is reasons for this. It doesn't happen to everybody. It doesn't happen to most people, I would think anyway. No one I can ask about it. Anyone I would know would fucking deny the whole situation altogether. But rest assured, in the future, depending on social circumstances, I may not behave in a predictable manner. I may say, no, I'm not going with that Asian bitch. And I may have a solid reason for not doing it, and it may not be because she's physically unattractive. It may because she's some, Chinese Communist Party CCP bitch who feels that Vancouver has to embrace multiculturalism, LGBTQT, what the fuck? And she just has a whole different mindset and philosophy, and you can't let the fucking vagina fucking control what's going on with you. And the problem is, uh, you know, if your entire fucking sex life is being monitored by people you don't even know, then if you were to stick it to her and go, well, I'm just going to forget her the next day anyway, it doesn't matter what she thinks, that used to work. But the problem is she can turn around and tell other people her slant on things and lie about it. And A, people will want to believe her, and B, she has the authority because she was able to get first dibs on fresh meat. And that's why I will decline any woman whom I see as unfit. And there are women who are decked out on tattoos and things like that. They got what they call arm sleeves of tattoos and things like that. And all the guys on the forums and things like that go, oh, that chick's so hot. And I go, well, not really. She kind of looks well traveled, which is unappealing in a woman. It may mean she has a lot of, big, strong male friends that'll come kick your ass if you don't go with her. But, that's just a chance I'm going to have to take. Because, I can defend myself. I'm not a total idiot. But am I going to get the scraps of what the fucking pit bulls, mangy dogs, fucking guard dogs, and all the other fucking shitty, disgusting dudes have already had? Absolutely fucking not. No, I ain't saying I, should be going with a 20-year-old, although I could be saying it based on my situation. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. But, it has to be a little bit reasonable. And, if woman's got baggage, she's got friends, she's got not just men, but also women who are going to be problematic, get the fuck out of here. I don't need your shit. I don't need your fucking drama. And, it's just one of those situations. And, I've talked about a number of subjects here, and I keep mentioning that in my videos because, it's like a tree. There are branches that go off in different directions. There are some trees that, are able to create different types of fruit and things like that, just as a metaphor. Like nectarines and peaches grow on the same tree. It's all about grafting and all that sort of shit. But anyway, the point is that being in a situation for so long, and then all of a sudden the social climate changing for whatever factor, whatever the masses, the mob, the fucking crowd around you wants it to, don't let them think that they're smarter than you because there's more of them and they're talking to each other, and that makes them smarter, because it fucking doesn't. Because I didn't see them come up with any creative fucking ideas to fucking do anything productive. All I saw them doing is being brick wall assholes. Anybody can be a brick wall asshole where you're just not going to get your way with them and they're not going to change their disposition. But guess what? Fucking brick walls can be broken down. Because, that kind of concrete just isn't that strong. That's fucking, Roman siege technology. And on that note, I think I'm going to tap up this video. I've got a glass of wine here, so I think I'm going to drink that. But I'm just putting all those points out there because I sense that there's a cloud of bullshit floating around, and I'm just not going to cooperate. I'm going to be problematic myself if I have to be, if I don't see things going, in a reasonable direction. And if people don't like that and fucking try to come after me for reasons that would be considered esoteric to me because I just don't know what the fuck they're up to because I've never even heard their name or seen their face before, then obviously there's going to be unnecessary hostility. And I would prefer to avoid that, but also I'm not just going to get decked and just suck it up. That's not happening for any bullshit reason. Anyway, with that being said, thank you, friends, for watching this video. Fuck you to my enemies. And have a good day. Or have a really shitty day if you're my enemy. That's all I gotta say.